So I actually recorded a full episode, edited it, and then we got news that essentially the president has stopped negotiations around stimulus bills until after the election. Now, I personally, as you know, have been waiting on stimulus to re-energize this altcoin market. And I'm going to be giving you my perspective on what's going to happen given that stimulus is no longer in the equation for the month of October, and we really don't know what the political makeup of our Congress and our administration will be after that. So it's pretty hard to predict what the future of stimulus will entail. Today's episode was about essentially the enforcement action that is now preventing retail trading around derivatives in crypto that is happening in the UK, and how I believe it's a bullish precursor to a Bitcoin ETF, which would be explosive for the entire space. However, it's important that we talk about during this episode what the new reality is without the hopes of stimulus. I'll be giving you my personal opinion towards the end of this episode, and I hope you guys enjoy the content. The middle of this episode is sort of created without this in mind because I just learned this while I was editing. Regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. We're going to start it as if this stimulus stuff didn't quite happen, and then I'll chime in with a little bit of information as to how I think this is going to play out at the end of the video. Just days after the enforcement action against BitMEX, we get news that leverage trading on crypto products in general is being banned in the UK, leading to a real question. Are these products ethical, and should they even be available to retail traders? I'm going to be giving you my opinion and also my view as to why this is incredibly bullish for the space, as it fits in line with what I heard months ago, which is that this space is being cleaned up and cleared out with the intent of issuing Bitcoin ETFs on mainstream stock exchanges, which many analysts have stated would lead to an incredible uptick in bullishness on the Bitcoin chart, potentially leading to new all-time highs and new price discovery, which we haven't seen for Bitcoin in now 3 years. But we also have some exciting news from Polkadot, as well as an update from the high-risk sector of cryptocurrencies. We're going to be covering everything from the news around leverage trading and what it means for the industry to the wild, wild west that is the current state of DeFi and the altcoin markets. You guys are definitely going to want to watch this one. And if you're excited, do me a favor, smash that like button. And of course, remember that each and every comment on this video is entered to win your very own Ledger Nano S. That, of course, is for subscribers only, so if you're not subscribed, what are you doing? You're missing out on so much good content. Go ahead, hit that sub button, and don't forget to press that little bell notification. That way you're made aware exactly when I put out new content. With that said, let's dive in. Before diving into the news of the day, we can see EOS with a 10% pump here. This is, of course, because Google Cloud joined the EOS blockchain community, joining the likes of Goldman Sachs to lead Block One's advisory board. And it seems like even a Google pump here can only lift the EOS price about 10%. Not crying about it, but you'd expect a little more performance out of a big announcement like Google joining your project. However, that's just the state of the world. A lot of people also looking at the Monero charts, given, of course, the fact that there's been a lot of enforcement actions. However, there's also been the news that Monero can be cracked or unwound. So it's a little confusing here. Are people just speculating that Monero will grow more popular, or do people actually really want to use it for privacy reasons? You guys let me know in the comment section below. I don't really have a strong opinion on it. In other news, MetaMask now is getting directly into the DEX space, allowing for you to do swaps. Essentially, they're aggregating all the DEXs on Ethereum, allowing for you to do swaps directly in MetaMask. And to me, this is an amazing and brilliant product. Obviously, everyone's home is MetaMask, so just allowing you to do the swaps right there saves you even the step of going to Uniswap, though we all love that Uniswap interface. I think that based on what I've seen here, they're going to take a lot of cues here and make it super simple and super sleek. Who knows how popular this might become, but I personally believe that this is a great step forward, and it just shows you that the ecosystem is maturing and that swaps and trading and all these things are starting to really move in a much more liquid way. And especially as we get some scaling, I'm really excited for what the Ethereum ecosystem will be looking like in maybe 1 or 2 years' time. We also have Polkadot revealing something called an initial parachain offering, which is a new mechanism. Instead of like an ICO, they're essentially allowing for you to bid on and get elected to have a parachain, because there are limited parachains that they're actually going to make available on Polkadot. There's a process here that they're calling the initial parachain offering, and essentially DOT holders need to elect you as a chain. I really think that this is an interesting way to go about building an initial community, and of course Polkadot being the hottest topic of 2020, arguably, obviously maybe second to DeFi and Link, but Polkadot's narrative has been extremely strong. I can see a lot of projects starting to vie for this, so keep this in mind, as I could see this becoming a very popular crowdfunding mechanism going forward. But to the main topic of the day, we have the FCA banning cryptocurrency derivatives in UK after BitMEX charges. So essentially the FCA in the UK has announced a ban on crypto derivatives for retail customers. Now, notice this isn't for institutional customers, because apparently they know more than you and they can trade better than you. That's probably a fact. The ban is designed to protect retail investors from harm. The ban will come into force next year on January 6th. So here are my feelings about this. First and foremost, a lot of people get wrecked on leverage trading. Content creators such as Blockchain Brad and Chico Crypto have been publicly railing against this for months. However, there's a lot of people who still leverage trade and make a career out of it. In fact, one of my close friends and colleagues here on Crypto YouTube, Crown from Crown's Crypto Cave, is a very successful leverage trader, and I've seen him remain profitable through all kinds of markets by becoming a true maestro at this craft. Now, granted, he's been doing this for decades and he's a seasoned trader. That's not usually the situation. A lot of people sort of rush in without really preparing themselves for what it means to trade in such a volatile environment. Now, personally, I believe you should still be able to trade. I believe in liberties and freedoms, and it's your money. If you want to trade and you think you have an edge on the market, I think you should be able to go in and take advantage of that. I'm curious what you guys think. I personally don't have anything against leverage trading. I don't do it myself because I don't have time to get good at it. A trader's lifestyle usually revolves almost 100% around trading. And if you're not really focused on the markets at all times and cultivating your skill set over a significant period of time, not months, but years, it's very hard to remain consistently profitable. However, for me, shutting that off to non-institutional players feels a little bit exclusionary, given the fact that I've seen people remain extremely profitable and, of course, build an incredible lifestyle around their trading. Yes, I do understand that a lot of retail traders lose money trading derivatives in crypto, but people lose money buying scratchers at 7-Eleven. People lose money a lot of different ways. I'm just a believer in personal freedoms, and I don't believe that it's really ethical to be separating retail investors when you're letting institutional investors essentially have access to these products. And that, to me, sort of draws a line in the sand, allowing for the more wealthy investors, players with already more capital, essentially be able to leverage up and get even more capital out of the market, whereas retail investors won't have access to that. Now, I also feel badly for people who get wrecked in leverage trading. I guess it's sort of a complex issue, but my personal belief is that you should have the freedoms to participate in the markets if you feel like you have the skills to do it. I'm curious what you guys think, though. I'm just a big supporter of just choice and freedom, and I think a lot of people in the cryptocurrency community agree with that. Do you think leverage trading is evil inherently? Do you think people shouldn't have access to it? Do you think that this ban essentially is another way of preventing the individual retail investors from getting ahead of the market? Or do you think that this is a positive step that will save people a lot of pain and anguish? I'm curious what you guys think. But of course, all of this is just part of the basket of actions that are happening, as I understand it, in anticipation of a Bitcoin ETF. So whether or not retail traders can do 100x leverage on futures, I believe that Bitcoin holders and cryptocurrency holders in general are going to benefit from this totality of actions that are aimed at clearing out the space so that a Bitcoin ETF can go totally mainstream. And in my opinion, that's something that I could see happening within the next year or two, as essentially the space is cleared out of these types of exchanges. We already know BitMEX, the biggest and original one, got shut down, and now we're seeing the same kind of activity going on in the UK. And I'm curious, what do you guys think is next? Is Binance next? Are you guys trading derivatives? Are you guys worried that you won't be able to trade on your favorite site going forward? I'm really curious what you guys think. Of course, many people know that if you really want to, you can still trade a variety of products on a variety of exchanges, leading to memes like these. But I personally would never promote or advocate for that stuff. I believe that the future needs to have sensible regulation for this industry, just like we had for the internet. And that's my hope, is that these governments will understand that the next layer of the internet is blockchain based. It's like, imagine you were in a galaxy where you could never protect property. Imagine you lived in a world where anyone could just decide to sleep in your home at night. That's like the internet before blockchain, because essentially without cryptography, you can't protect assets online. But with cryptography, with what blockchain brings to the internet, and simple cryptography, sort of Web 2 cryptography, has shown that it's extremely vulnerable time and time again. So blockchain essentially allows for security. It allows for you to have locks on your doors and windows and actually own property that is sovereign and people can't take from you. And for that reason, I believe that there should and will be very sensible regulation coming to crypto in the future. Of course, only if countries want to be part of what I believe is one of the biggest and most momentous changes to our technological world pretty much since the internet. And so while I think these kinds of memes are a little bit funny, I'm hoping that there's some kind of awakening within the regulatory bodies as to the power and potential that this technology has to really give a new era of dominance for leading countries and leading economies. Look at how internet projects and internet companies and the tech sector on the NASDAQ has really buoyed the entire economy over the last 10, 20 years, and especially since the start of the pandemic. When almost all traditional stocks went down the gutter, the tech stocks remained strong. And if it wasn't for sensible regulation in the 90s towards the internet, that would not be the case. And so I'm hoping that we see that again. And I remain optimistic as always that the future will be better than the past. Now, before going into this last segment, I want to talk a little bit about the state of the market. Now, of course, all of the good projects with significant products, use cases in the market, strong fundamental underpinnings, well, they've been getting crushed pretty much throughout September and the beginning of October. And we're looking towards more stimulus so we could see some of these bigger projects start to move and gain some traction again. But it seems like predicting exactly when that stimulus will come is becoming quite tricky, and hopes that this will happen before the election are starting to dwindle and fade away. But of course, there are still gains happening, as I discussed on my last video. But these are essentially really high risk, aka degen plays or degenerate plays, because really there's not that much fundamental underpinnings. In fact, it's more about reading just where the hype is and where everyone's FOMOing into, and that only leads to very short-term pumps, which is what we've seen here in the altcoin market, is things go on very short-lived pumps and they don't tend to hold their gains very well. And it's really just all about the tokenomics that you're seeing. How extreme and deflationary can these tokenomics be? Like we saw with the recent batch of core and core clones, as I predicted would happen with the evolution of yield farming to add crazy deflationary tokenomics like core did. I recognized that this would be a new chapter of the degen market, and that's exactly what happened. To be honest, all of the plays here are extremely high risk, and I try to make that disclaimer very clear. But regardless, I think I'd be doing you a disservice not to explain at least what's going on in this market. You know, me personally, I don't really enjoy covering these types of projects. I'd much rather talk about the technologies that are actually going to evolve this industry. But, you know, in the end, people are here for gains. And so I think it's okay at least to discuss with full disclaimers what's going on, and you all can make your own decisions. Just like I believe you should be able to make your own decisions about leverage trading. That's my personal belief, but I respect if you disagree with that. At any rate, this is what's going on in the crazy degen markets right now. And I'm not endorsing or saying for you to do anything. I'm just synthesizing what's going on in the markets for you. So as I explained, the new sort of YFI clone craze got a new chapter of life with the introduction of Core. I explained their tokenomics on the last video. You're welcome to go check it out. And this project erupted. You can't even see the price history, but it was literally like $30, and it went all the way up to almost $10,000, or I guess $9,200. Crazy, crazy gains. And it's sort of been dumping here, but getting support here off the sort of lows around the low, sort of mid $5,000 range. I don't think Core is done by any means. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see it take another leg up. But in the meantime, the Core clones have gone crazy, the most profitable of which was this X Finance, which I talked about on my last episode. This thing peaked yesterday at about $800, starting here just 2 days ago at about $63, 50 something dollars. That's a crazy amount of gains. From $50 or so all the way up to $800. I mean, that's over 1,500% growth. That is just mind-boggling. And X Finance isn't just a completely useless token. It does have products here, but really what was going on is just hype that came from using Core's tokenomics. And now, really, the biggest news of the day is this project Encore, which mind-bogglingly was started apparently by a 14-year-old and has now raised over $2 million, as I understand it, in Ethereum, and is about to go live on Uniswap. I'm guessing that this whole Uniswap launch is going to be absolute madness. I don't really know which direction this is all going to go. I'm just interpreting for you what's going on, which is that essentially the degen crowd is starting to obsess over core clones, as I tweeted about all last week and I knew was going to happen. Okay, so now the moment of truth where we talk about stimulus. The reality is that I've been waiting on stimulus to re-energize the altcoin market, and I believe since March, that's been what's floating these altcoin extreme growth valuations. So without that magic fairy dust of free liquidity, I'm expecting for potentially a lot of pain in the alts. Between now and when we see potentially the announcement of more stimulus, my plan is going to remain the same, where I'm farming with stablecoins, and when brand new or really exciting new hyped projects are coming into the equation, I'll be trying to get into them early and get their initial pumps and then protect capital if I do get gains, not getting greedy. If I get a 2, 3, 4x, whatever, I'll be taking those profits and then moving stuff back into stable coins to keep farming more APY. That's just how I'm going to be approaching the market. It's out of an abundance of caution. However, in a weird way, there's also the high risk aspect of it, as a lot of the coins that stand to continue to do well under these conditions will be the sort of high risk plays that we've discussed throughout this episode. So you guys can let me know in this market climate what kind of topics you'd like for me to discuss, as it seems like for the altcoins, those super brand new baby coins or the coins with just super hyped tokenomics, you know, those YF clones or core clones, kind of feels like those are going to be the flavor of the month without any stimulus to lift the more fundamentally strong and developed projects. Let me know if you guys are interested in these plays. Let's hope that we can see another lease on life in the altcoin markets in the coming future. In the end, this degen market I don't believe is great for crypto, but I do believe that you should have the ability and the choice to participate in it if you want to. And so for now, I'll make some huge disclaimers, but still update you on sort of what's going on with this market. You guys can let me know in the comment section below if you'd prefer I don't cover this market, but at least for this first batch of core clones, I felt it was so obvious what was going to happen, that the way people FOMO'd into core, that people who missed the boat would FOMO into these clones, and well, you were right. I also believe that what's going on with the enforcement actions against futures trading will have a long-term net positive benefit. I'm also a believer that you should have the choice to really manage your cryptos however you want, but I also understand that some people prefer having more guardrails, and I'm happy to see the industry evolve to make the maximum amount of people the maximum amount of happy. I'm also curious what you guys think. Please let me know about all the topics we covered in the comment section below, and remember that each and every comment on this video is entered to win your own Ledger Nano S. I personally have been dabbling in these core clones, but knowing that it's extremely high risk. 2 of them I initially lost some money on, but they're catching up now, and those losses have dwindled. One of them was an absolute home run with XFI. And so, you know, as long as there's home runs in the market to be had, I believe that you're better off knowing about it than not knowing about it. So that's why I've been covering them over the last few episodes, though as many of you will know, it doesn't quite fit with my core thesis about the types of projects that I like to support long term. If you guys aren't subscribed to this channel, I highly encourage you to subscribe and put that bell notification on. You would have been made aware about all the news we're putting out. And of course, if you're not following me on Twitter, that's where I'm putting out like very impulsive calls and maybe coins that I wouldn't want to do like a full episode on, like some of these more degen projects. Again, I'm creating all kinds of really different content over there, and I encourage you guys to follow me over there or join my Telegram group, t.me/ElioTradesCrypto, where we're talking about pretty much every opportunity in the market at all hours, and it's a really awesome community we've built there. So I encourage you guys to join my Telegram and follow me on Twitter. The links for both of those are in the description. As usual, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, give me a like. It's a free and easy way to support the channel. My name's Elio Trades. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon on the next episode.